Hello, sir. Good morning.
Hi, Suresh. All set?
Yeah, all set. We'll be starting in 5 minutes. We'll just wait for 5 minutes for everyone to join. And
Dr. Shweta, so nice to see you again.
Same here.
Great.
Thank you for inviting me and being a part of this session.
This young team is doing such a great job, you know.
Yes.
Wonderful. Suresh, Lakshmi, Viraj, all of them.
Correct.
Absolutely. And I think with your support is critical here.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the credit, but I don't think so I can take it all. I should say that they have been doing really well. And they have provided their services during the crisis period for the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's been wonderful working with them.
Absolutely. So this is the speaker room, Suresh. Hi, Lakshmi. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you again.
This is the speaker room.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Oh, is this the speaker room or audience will also join the same?
Yeah, audience are also joining the same room. Yeah.
Same link. Okay.
Yeah, only panelists will be able to talk and share the video.
Okay.
Others will be just watching it.
All right. Okay. Good.
They can ask questions though. I mean, the attendees can ask questions, right? I mean,
Yes, there is a question and answer mode. They can type in their questions there. We will be going through the questions and we'll be putting to our, we have a special session for 15 minutes to question and answer session where we'll be putting the questions to Dr. Shweta. So she will be answering. And I mean, while talking, they can't do anything. I mean, they have to type in their questions. To any specific people, we can unmute them, but that's what it may cause other disturbances. So we would like to use the question and answers window to check the question. Dr. Shweta, there is if you see on your panel, there will be Q&A, something called Q&A. Yeah, if you can click that, anyone poses a question, you can also check on that question.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay, if you find any difficulty, I'll put the question forward to you.
Sure.
Vishaka, good morning. Can you use the background Suresh shared in the...
Yeah, actually, I was trying to figure out how to put that up.
Where is it shared actually?
Suresh, you're on mute, I guess.
Okay, in the video, you have choose virtual background, right?
Oh, okay.
In the video option.
Yes, in the video option.
Oh, yeah, got it, yeah.
Dr. Shweta, you could get it?
No. Video. I just have two. That is none and blur. That's it.
We have 58 participants joined. We'll just wait for 2 minutes. And Vishaka, you can start with the introduction.
Is my background okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't find the background, so I'm...
It's fine, Dr. Shweta, it's fine.
It's okay, but I'll give you a call and, we'll set it. Don't worry.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Vishaka, we can get started.
Sure. So a very good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday morning. Today's Teachers' Day, so I want to thank all the board members here because they have definitely been guiding light or some sort of mentor to each and every volunteer present in the session as of now. So thank you so much for taking one life to where it is now. So yeah. Next slide. I want to thank our sponsors, Amod Industries and Dots and Coms for their support and association for this event. A little bit about what One Life is. So One Life is basically a non-profit organization with a vision of preventing suicides. It operates as a 24/7 helpline number for anyone who is suicidal or having depressed thoughts to reach out for crisis support. Millions of people die by suicide every year. It's a worrying situation. At One Life, we have our volunteers who are mentored by qualified professional counsels to ensure quality and supported by a panel of psychologists to provide the required intervention and guidance. Currently, we have 50 plus volunteers who are taking round the clock calls round the clock, and we operate pan India, providing our services in 12 plus languages. So yeah, this is a little description about who we are. The flow of the event, I just wanted to give a brief, details about how the event is going to be like. We are going to introduce our guest at 11 o'clock. We would be having Mithali Raj in conversation with Mr. Sushil and Dr. Shweta, and then followed by a Q&A session by Dr. Shweta, and a little fun event by Shairana event, what you call shairis and everything by Ketan Das, followed by One Life annual report and volunteers awards for their consistent support. Who the board members are. For people who are new to this, I just wanted to introduce the people who are behind One Life, the pillars of this organization. So Mr. Suresh Kala, he's the founder, software engineer by profession. Mrs. Lakshmi Prasanna, director of operations, who is also a social entrepreneur. Mr. Viraj Bhandare, director of finance, a young businessman from Pune. Then I would like Lakshmi Prasanna ma'am to take over from now on. You are on mute, ma'am.
It's an honor for me today to invite the guests, of course, our chief guest, Padma Shri Mithali Raj, captain of Indian women cricket team, the Wonder Woman. She needs no introduction. Mr. Sushil Bode, he is the head of Reliance Innovation Leadership Center, but he's a simple man. He just says that I work with Mukesh Bhai. He has been mentor for One Life and guides innovation and global outreach for Reliance. He has helped us several ways in last year's initiatives. He has been our motivator, and he's also been the CEO of Mumbai cricket team. So it's the apt setting for him as our mentor and as a cricket enthusiast today to lead the conversation with Padma Shri Mithali Raj. Coming to Dr. Shweta, she is our panel psychiatrist, and she has done several free consultations during the pandemic and supported the cause that we got. And she works with the consultant at Asha Hospital, Hyderabad. She leads a women's wellness clinic in Hyderabad, and she is also our panelist who consultants for our callers. So this is the introduction to our callers, to the guest today. Over to the next. Before we, meet Mrs. Mithali Raj, I request both the panelists, Sushil Bode and Dr. Shweta, to set the context for today. And I have a question for Dr. Shweta. about, positivity. The program we are doing today, being crisis support, what we want to project is a positive environment leads to positive life. And here, I have a question for Dr. Shweta. The moment we start our day and finish our day, there is a lot of negativity around us, especially during the pandemic. How to overcome that negativity and have a positive mindset? So this is the question we have for you to set the context for the conversation with Padma Shri Mithali Raj. Over to you, ma'am, Dr. Shweta.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question from your side. And this is $1 million question, actually. So I should say that in one way, yesterday when I was reviewing the statistics of suicides in India and all over the world, I was happy on one side to see that there is a fall in the number of suicides during the COVID pandemic times. So everybody were actually very much worried whether the suicide rate is going to increase during the pandemic times, because this is the times of stress and this is the testing times. But fortunately, the 300% increase in suicides was not seen. And actually, there was a 6% decrease in the annual number of reported suicides compared to the previous years in the year 2019. So this tells us how we are coping with a negative situation around us. So how we, though COVID-19 has given a social isolation, has kept away from our own people, but we found a way to connect to them with the use of media or with the use of any kind of other means apart from one-to-one touch and one-to-one talk, but we have found a way to connect to them. And COVID-19 had improved our coping skills, because of which probably, yes, I would say there is an increase in number of depression, increase in percentage of anxiety disorders, stress levels. That could be due to financial losses, loss of job and loss of living, relocation. But yet the number of suicides are not rising. And that's a good news. I'm very happy about it. So now coming to the positivity, this alone tells us, this fall in the number of suicides in the last 2 years tells us that improving our coping skills in the advent of adversity will help us in turning our lives in much more better way, in a positive way. I would also like to say that our brains are wired to remember more negative events. They are wired in such a way that our hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, and our OFC, that is orbitofrontal cortex, actually there's a connection between them, which is important for memory. And that circuit gets more excited when there is a negative event. And do you always remember that we tend to ruminate about negative events more and more because we want to correct them into positive? So what I would say is the more number of ruminations will strengthen your memory. And thus we remember very vividly, very crystal clearly about the negative events, but we don't remember that much about the positive events. So what I would suggest the viewers is that we have to turn every kind of a negative event as a challenge to us. It is not an event to actually put you down or cross your paths with negative outcomes. It is to improve your life skills. It is to improve your understanding of life. So when you see that every negative event that happens in your life, you are a different person when you go through that negative event. And when you come out of that event, you have learned something new that is called as a new life skill. So why don't we see all these negative events as probably events to improve ourselves at the end of the day, to bring out that skill which is hidden in us, to make ourselves more better and better in life. So here, what are we doing? We are using our thinking power to change a negative event towards a positive event, towards something improving towards our lives. So that alone will give us lots of confidence and lots of courage to go ahead in life. So that's how I would ask the viewers to help their cognitions and understanding towards negative events in life.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta. That's a very nice explanation. But still, while we understand the scientific reason why we get attracted to the negative, but how can we change this consciously? Yes, I agree that, in a survival mode during the pandemic, we search for, more skills to get over when there is a threat.
Correct.
Likewise, yes, you have summarized well that we have more attracted towards positivity. But still, can you give us some practical tips as how to, gear our mind early in the mornings, some tips from you would be helpful for the viewers.
Definitely. So the first thing is, when you wake up in the morning, you need to meditation, or, not like, kind of dhyanam, not like that, but you need to meditate for at least 10 minutes, saying that I would want to start with a positive mind. I would like to view things in a positive method. So we would, do you agree with me if I say that you would know what is going to happen in a day, in a given day? Not 100%, but at least 30 to 40%. We would know what we are going to face in a day. Yes, the rest 70 or 50 to 70% is definitely going to be a surprise for us. And that surprise and the outcome of that surprise is what determines our memory, what determines whether it is a negative outcome or a positive outcome. So we need to tune ourselves to understand the process of each event. You know something, that it is not the process that we go through, it is the outcome which is very important for us. For example, I'll give you, suppose you have a difficult day, like you've been working for 1 week on some kind of an important project. And for example, you have left your kids, you have left your family, your wife or your spouse, and you have not taken your meals, you have not slept well for a project. So you have invested a lot of your energy into it. If the outcome of that event after a week of investing your energy is positive, do you remember the amount of effort that you have kept in? I don't think so. You remember that much, as if the outcome is negative. If the outcome is negative, you will feel that, oh, I have put my whole blood and sweat into this, but the outcome is negative. So this is where I would like to say that positive and negative outcomes does not matter. It shouldn't matter. What matters is your process into it, your hard work into it. So one day, the negative outcome will only give you what hasn't worked. Probably this process hasn't worked. Probably you need to check your process again and put your efforts in a right way. So when you start your day, if you actually process these events in your life, not in the terms of outcomes, not in the terms of a checklist, in the terms of the process, what you have gone through and what worked and what did not work, and try to rectify us, because we are not perfect individuals at the end of the day. We have to make ourselves perfect. That's it. And so that is one way. And the second way is emotion. We need to, the best way is to chart your emotions. I always tell my clients saying that never take a decision when you are emotionally charged. charged means either in a negative charge or a positive charge. I don't want people to take decision when they are extremely happy or extremely sad or extremely angry or extremely disappointed. We just need to jot down what are the thoughts and what are the possible actions that we would want to take during that extreme emotions, and then slowly work it out when we are actually emotionally neutral. In the sense, after probably we will be having an emotional charged period of time just in response to the event. Suppose the event has happened now, and we'll be emotionally charged probably 1 or 2 hours within the event, within the vicinity of the event. Some people will take even more longer time. But eventually what happens, the emotion, the intensity of emotion will come down. And that is when it touches a stability, a stable period, is when you need to think, analyze about the event, analyze about the past, present, and future of the event and your behavior towards the event. All these cognitive activity has to happen in the morning, because mornings are the best time where your memory is fresh, you'll have a lot of mental capacity, and you are not yet spoiled by the environment. So it is untouched, pure, clear period. So usually most of our elders used to say that wake up early in the morning. And this is what we should do early in the morning, probably before your work starts. So for that, you need good amount of oxygen. You need good amount of your metabolites to be excreted through sweat. So exercise, and oxygen definitely increases when you exercise, when you go towards your greenery. So please plant trees all over in your, at least house plants. It doesn't matter if you don't want trees, but at least house plants, which gives you oxygen. And I would always say, make one corner in your house as per your taste. So that is where you need to find solace whenever you're emotionally upset. So sit there, do whatever you like. If you like coffee, drink coffee. If you like reading a book, do that. If you like exercise, do that. So whatever it is, in that corner of your house is where you'll find the Buddha's place probably. So that is how you need to find a relaxing place and a relaxing activity. So I generally suggest my clients saying that cut vegetables. If usually my clients are women, cut vegetables into symmetrical cubes. So when you cut them, it requires a lot of concentration, and it is a very satisfying experience when you cut it into cubes, into symmetrical cubes. Or else I would ask them to, sew beads into a thread. Okay, so these are the finer activities which actually improve your concentration and remove the concentration from the negative events around your life for a time being, until your emotion settles down. When your emotion settles down is when you need to think about the event. If I may ask you, now I'll ask you that how many negative events in your life that you have gone through have made you a better person? So if you look back in your life, all the negative events, have they made you a better person who could cope with adversity? So yes or no, just ask yourself. And the second most important thing that I would say is when clients come to me saying that, I'm not doing well. My peers are much more enjoying, they are succeeding, they are cracking ranks, and they are climbing up the ladder of success, but I am just where I am left. What I would ask them is, you cannot compare yourself with your peers, because they are uncomparable things. You cannot compare two different things. You need to compare similar things. So compare with yourself from the past. So Mr. X of 2016, compare it with Mr. X of 2021. Have you improved or not? Is there a life skill that you have learned in a day or not? If you do these kind of exercises and give yourself confidence in the morning, obviously there will be a kind of energy that builds up in you to accept the adversities in life. And I always tell people saying that nobody's life is easy. Even a child's life is not easy, because coping skills won't come to us by birth. We are not showered with abilities to handle adversities. We are only given a personality that we have to sharpen day by day with the, the circumstances around us, the people around us actually influence how we shape up our personality in the days to come. So if we view the negative event in the terms that how it has improved your life, it makes us much more easier. It gives us much more better clarity over life, because life is never easy on anybody. I hope that this suits your question.
Yes, Dr. Shweta, thank you very much. Very well, to sum up for the benefit of the viewers, morning affirmation, positive affirmations will work very well. 30% of what we know will happen the day will also decrease the stress level. When you take it as a process, cognitive process, and analyze what you are going to do already, you are prepared for it. And then make an emotions chart and deal with whatever decisions you have to make that day when you are in a neutral mode. And there could be several exercises you could do where you need your concentration, and have your favorite place and do your favorite thing in the early morning, so that you create those positive vibes which will go on with you. Of course, oxygen is very important, and most importantly, you set the context for the upcoming, talk with Padma Bhushan Mithali Raj, that negative events will make us a better person. That's the way you need to look at things, where it's a learning process. Anything you think is a negative event is actually there to teach you something. When you look at it as a process that improves you to be a better person, definitely we move on towards positivity. Thank you so much. This is a value add to all our audience, I'm sure. Mr. Sushil, over to you to set the context for Madam Mithali Raj.
Mithali ji has just joined. Maybe we could get straight into the introductions then, and we can do my remarks later.
So over to you for the introduction too.
Yeah, Mithali ji, welcome on behalf of One Life. My name is Sushil Borde. I'm a mentor at One Life. Thank you so much. We know you're in Australia for the series. Thank you so much for taking time out. For the viewers, you don't need any introduction. Captain of the women's Indian team, legendary cricketer for us. All of us are big fans of your achievements. You've put India on the global map together with your team. And of course, the nation has rewarded you, rightly so, with a Padma Shri. So thank you so much for that. This session, Mithali ji, is about, they call it Defending Minds Googly. And I thought we will touch on the mental side of your profession and of your life.
Yep.
Session. Before we start, Mithali ji, any opening remarks, and then we can get into the fireside chat.
But I think in times like these, especially during the pandemic lockdowns, I have seen a lot of people struggle with mental health. So it is one of the most important aspect in today's time to be addressed and help each other. If we can do that, I think we'll be in a better position to deal with a lot many things that the world is going through right now.
Absolutely. So when it comes to mental health, we've always been hearing about, especially from commentators and cricketers like you, that as much as cricket and especially Test cricket, and I know you're going to play one in Australia now, is as much as it is about endurance, strength, skill, technique, it is also a mind game, they say. And hence mental conditioning, mental strength, all of that becomes important. So why is sport more of a mental game and a mind game? And what do you do specifically for mental conditioning?
I think sport maybe a lot more to do with mind game is because when we consciously put in effort during our physical activity, like training in the nets or learning our fundamentals about batting or any part of the skill of a sport, it needs conscious effort. But when we get into a tournament or a competition arena, we know we are equipped with the skill, but there are a lot many factors which affect the ability to perform a skill to optimum. That could be anxiety issue, expectations, peer pressure, or the very fact that you're competing. These things can hamper and probably affect your performance when actually you're required to perform at that particular moment, because sport is more to do with moments. It's not something that we have our focus all through. There will be moments where it is important to focus and then sort of switch off. But if an athlete knows how to balance these things, they are in the best position to get the A game. Otherwise, we're constantly getting a part of our game into our performance. And that is why I think a lot of emphasis is given to in different stages of a sportsman's career, that it's just not about training physically or your fitness training or the emotional side, but a lot of training also has to happen in terms of mental setup. And it is a lot more important in today's time, because we do face this quarantine period sometimes a week, and now I'm in Australia for good 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time for any athlete, especially a sport which requires you to be outdoor for part of an entire day, and you're just restricted to a small room. And then when you get out of the 14-day quarantine, you're straight into a competition arena. Within 4-5 days, we get into a 1-day series. So it gets even more important now that, we train our mind in these 14 days, how we are able to tune it to a point where when we get out of the quarantine, how well we are equipped to guide our body to our mind to sync together. Because sport is also important, that there is some amount of synchronization with your mind and your body, because the best you can do is when your body and mind are in tune, and that happens only your mind is able to guide your body. So that is why I believe that it's just not sport. Of course, in the current scenario, everybody needs to work on the mental setup, but athletes a lot more, because of the quarantine periods that we have to face before every tournament.
So body and mind, the zone that cricketers like you call it, I think that's what you're mentioning. Any specific, Dr. Shweta, before you joined, was talking about how does one go about planning for the day to take care of the mental health, environment, and how does one deal with that, etc. So what are some of the mental conditioning techniques that cricketers use? I remember Mr. Sunil Gavaskar telling me once that the biggest challenge for him was to wipe off the memory of the last bouncer that he got from pace bowlers, right? And how does one do that? It for us it sounds great, but I'm sure it must be so difficult, to be in the zone. So what are some of the techniques that you would use?
I think with my own experience, I've come to understand that mind is just as fickle as people around us. It really needs to be told. I think the best possible ways to, if you're a disciplined person, you're better equipped to sort of understand your own mind and then able to sort of tune it. Like for me, I'm a very regimental person. I've always been like, have a routine, and that has been a habit for a long, long time. So I do, even in the quarantine. It's not like it's just like a sort of a holiday types, but I try and sit down and sort of get my routine for the day. Wake up, I have a specific time for my skill, for my exercise session, even for my mental tuning. Like, I have certain affirmations that um I have, like, wherever I'm, mostly in my room. Sometimes when you're brushing, you have a small paper, stuck to the mirror. So each time you watch your face, you're reading that affirmation. So you're sort of subconsciously trying to give signal to your mind that, be positive, be optimistic. So then again, before getting into bed, the first thing before I sleep or wake up in the morning, the spot which I see, I have a small chit written there, like a small affirmation that today is going to be a good day, or probably like, today be more, focus on these things, or anything. It could be related to anything. So if you have these small things constantly, each time you see it, and it registers in your mind, so when you are actually in tournament, you don't really have to tune it. It is already registered in the mind, so it helps you. And that is one way of me, working my mental setup. Second is I watch videos. It could be a good speech from somebody, a very motivational speech or inspirational speech, or somebody explaining their hard times, how it helped them. So that also can help. And I'm watching the test match, so in a way I'm trying to give feedback to a mind that, okay, this is how the game is. This is a test match. Even though I'm yet to play a test, and I've played few test match, but it is always good to be in constant touch with the skill that you want to, you're eventually going to play. So when I get out onto the ground, I don't really have to again, tell myself, like, I'll have to get onto the ground, these are the things. But in some way, it is already registered in my mind. All I have to do is just, sort of reach out to that, and that helps me to get on the ground. So these are my ways of seeing, but everybody have a very individual ways of working on the the mindset.
Absolutely. No, these are golden nuggets. I think I'm already seeing some comments in the chat saying that's such a nice tip. I'm going to try that. So this is fantastic. You also mentioned about peer pressure, anxiety, and things like that. Right now, for legends like you, for cricketers in India, they become demigods. Well, in your case, goddesses. And this larger than life image that you carry on, and we think that suddenly you've become superhumans, right? But having said that, there must be some vulnerabilities that you must be also going through. And it is important for us to understand that, yes, cricketers, legends are also humans like us. They also go through similar issues at times. So any examples of your vulnerabilities that you've faced, and how you have overcome them?
Well, I think everybody are vulnerable to something, and nobody is perfect or superhuman. I think celebrities or achievers are revered is because we are good in doing whatever we are doing. So that's the only difference I find. And I also have a lot of vulnerabilities, just like anybody else. Even I get those butterfly feeling every time before a game. Even after 22 years of international cricket, I still get those early feelings in the stomach, that before getting onto the ground. um, there is my own expectation, whether I've I've lived up to my own ability at the end of the game? Did I do my best, or was it good enough, or is there a lot more that I need to do? So these things do come. And of course, my parents or friends, they would always say, like, you could have done better here, or that was not the shot expected from you. So these things happen, and of course, criticism is part of everybody's life. Even if you're a normal person, there are some part of some family member is criticizing you over something. So I think, just anybody else, even I'm a very normal person, I do have my own weaknesses. But having said that, I'm not someone who would focus entirely on my weakness. I also highlight my own strengths. It's very important when you're playing at international level, or for that matter any level in general life. Also, people do give a lot of importance to what they are not good at. But why can't we give the same amount of importance, or a lot more, to what we are good at? And if we're able to channelize our thoughts towards what we are good at, and naturally we will give some time to developing the things that need to be developed. But if you're not going to give importance to your gift or what you're good at, you probably will end up losing even that. And as a cricketer, when I get into the net, the first thing I do is I work on my strengths, because that is what gives me confidence that, okay, this is something I'm good at. Not everybody is good at. So that I need to be constantly working on. And yeah, these are the areas that I need to fix. So I will not look at it that I'm not good at it, or people are saying, criticizing it. I will work on it and make sure that it slowly transpires into my strengths. So vulnerabilities, weaknesses, we need to accept. We are not going to be perfect in every aspect of life. Like I say that as a professional athlete, my professional career is very good, but not necessarily my personal life is just as good. It's just a balance. Sometimes the personal life is in a good space, and I'm pretty much sort of going through a little bad patch in my professional life. The same way it comes down. So it's just a balance. And similarly with your strengths and weaknesses, is just a balance. As long as you try and see that you're constantly moving forward in life, having a growth mindset where you're constantly thinking about how I can excel, how I can improve from what I have been, then naturally you don't give too much importance to what is said around you. Then the focus is completely on moving forward. Life is all about moving forward. So if you understand this and try to implement it in everything, I mean, I would be lying if I say that criticism doesn't hurt me. It does, because many times people go off the track and take personal vendetta and criticize you. But again, I'm someone have learned to sort of how do I say that? I've learned to segregate it. I've learned to sort of understand, okay, from where this criticism is coming. I'm able to differentiate between constructive criticism and criticism for the sake of saying it. So if it is a constructive criticism, I try and understand, I go through it, I read it, I try and implement it in my game in the nets and see if, okay, does it help? If it helps, I accept it. If it doesn't, I let it go. As far as criticism, which is just to attack you, to put you down, I mean, you don't really have to give it energy. It's just allow it to wash over you. Yes, it feels a bit sad. It hurts you for that instant moment. But if you allow it to just wash over you, it doesn't really work as heavy as on your shoulder when you get onto the field. So these, again, I would say that these are my ways of dealing with my weaknesses or criticism. And at the same time, the amount of criticism that you deal with, you cannot really take appreciation to your head. Appreciation is just another side of criticism, or they say, both sides of the coin. So if criticism comes, so does appreciation. But you need to deal with both the same way that you deal with criticism. You can't take appreciation to your head, but accept it. It feels nice to be appreciated, recognized for the efforts, and it should motivate you to continuously or consistently put in the same effort.
Absolutely. These are not just your ways, Mithali ji. These are life lessons for us. I think many of us would take a lot of this advice and start implementing in our daily lives as well. And like I said, I think more importantly to understand that it is okay to be vulnerable, and it's not a
I
bad
think
thing. You don't
people
have to.
should understand that it's okay to fail. I mean, it's
Correct.
completely normal for
Correct.
anybody at any field, at any level, whether
Yeah.
you're a young athlete, older athlete. I mean, it's fine to fail.
Yeah.
From failure is what we take out, our success, because there is something to work forward. If we
Yeah.
don't fail, then it becomes a very monotonous success. You will not end up enjoying the sort of success that one should enjoy if there is no failure. And people will get used to it. There is, once things get sort of used to it, then that's a stagnation point. When there is a lot of fluctuation, that means to say you're actually working towards something.
Absolutely. And you said life is about moving forward, and that is exactly that. Um, we talked about your processes, your mental conditioning. What do you do in the nets, the physical training, etc. But you also mentioned about switching off.
Yep.
Now, we have heard your story. As a child, you would love to sleep a lot, and your father would take you to your brother's cricketing nets, and that's where you started loving cricket. Of course, we are not going to discuss your sleeping habits here, but more importantly, the importance of sleep and recovery in not only your sport, but we want to take away the importance of recovery and sleep as part of physical as well as mental health from your experience. We think that in our lives or in corporate lives there is burnout, and we have no idea what kind of burnout cricketers like you go through. There are tours, and there is media, and there is travel, and of course the continuous pressure of performance, right? So can you tell us about recovery and especially sleep, because we have a lot of youngsters here, and as you can imagine, there is a lot that they can do while compromising on sleep and recovery. So your thoughts on that would be very valuable.
I think sleep is one of the most important aspect of, as you said, recovery, and it is just not limited to athletes, but in life also. Because if we don't sleep well, or if we don't get enough hours of sleep, then that is what I think results into mental health, affecting your mental health, because then you're not in a proper frame of mind to have good thoughts, productive thoughts, and that affects in your actions, your day-to-day life or decision making. Because that is something we are always addressed in our field, especially by the physios, by the trainers. No matter how much hard work you do, if you don't get proper recovery, there is even amount that your body might break down, because you need to give some time of recovery to even your muscles to recover. And that's where I think sleep comes. The best thing they usually do is at the end of a hard day or a bad day, sometimes when we go through a bad series or a bad game, the best thing to do is to sleep. Just sleep and so that when you get up next day in the morning, at least it's a fresh day. It's a new game, it's a new day, and you can turn things around. But if you're still in the past, in the last game, or you don't get enough sleep and your mind is not fresh, so how do you expect the synchronization of your mind and body? Because ultimately the body listens to the way the mind allows it to. Like, if I there are many times when I had injuries, I've played with injuries, and I know that physically I am a little bit restricted in my moments, but that's when I tune my body. I would tell it like, I'm 100% fit, my movements are brilliant, my movements are good. So then I know that I know my body is not 100% fit, and yet I'm able to get it to a point where I'm scoring runs. So at the end of the day, what matters is you're able to feed your body the right thoughts, and that comes only when you are in a good frame of mind. And good frame of mind comes from a very from a place where you have recovered well, you had good sleep, you don't have any stress, you let go the past, and you're ready to focus in the future, or probably in the current scenario, that is the game. for me. That's tomorrow's game, or say today's game. So if I'm able to focus in the present moment and able to channelize my energy, then I think that's the best thing one can be in terms of your mind. And for that to happen, you need to allow your mind to rest. There are times, even in my quarantine, couple of days, where I was, my eyes were tired, but my mind was still very active. I wasn't able to sleep for hours because of the jet lag, but your body is tired, your mind isn't. So how do you do that? How do you again, uh, I keep telling, like, it's time to sleep, it's time to sleep. So when you start to tell your mind, feed your mind listens. But if you allow it to do as per it wants, then you won't be able to control it. So it's very, very important that people need to have those self talks in a very positive manner with your mind.
Excellent. So again, the body and mind coordination, the synchronization comes to the fore. There is also, we've heard and we've read in newspapers, through media, as well as talking to a few cricketers, this whole concept of self-belief. And as general public, we don't understand what self-belief really means. When you go on out on the field, or when you are preparing for a match. So from your point of view, what is this concept of self-belief?
See, I think I've seen many players in my career. Many players have been exceptionally talented than me. Just talent doesn't help you to be consistent and perform at the highest level, or in any competition arena. If you don't have belief on your ability, I don't think even the best of the best won't be able to fare well in the competition. Preparation is good. For me, I think in my view, self belief is when I prepare. Preparation is in my hand. It's something that one can control the way you want to prepare before an exam or before a match. When you sit for the exam, many people think, what sort of questions will come? Will I be able to answer all of them? I don't know how many marks will I get, or a percentage. Similar thoughts, will I be able to score runs? Will India win? So these thoughts we do have, but that is just before the beginning of the competition. But when you get into a competition, when it is your turn, you tell yourself, I've done all the preparation that I can, and I'm in the best frame of mind. I'm in good space, and when I walk into bat, I know I will do well. You don't really insist on the result. The thoughts cannot be result oriented. I will score 100, I will score 50. But the thought should be about process. I'll be meeting the ball well. It's going to hit the middle of the bat. I'm confident. So when you keep talking these things, I think you're subconsciously giving a notion to your entire being that you are believing in yourself. That's what self belief is. The day you don't score runs, eventually the batsman comes out of the bad form. How does he come out of the bad form? It's self belief that he keeps telling, like, I'm good to be in this stage. I'm a good player to be. I deserve to be playing international level. So once you keep telling these are nothing but the belief in your own self, and belief is what takes you out of your bad days, out of situations that you don't go deeper and deeper into desperation, or get into space where you don't know what is happening. Self belief is something which holds you on, which gives you that hope that there is still something left for you to give your best.
On your low days, besides motivating yourself and doing all that you've just said, do you also turn to some other people in your life on your low days?
Usually, my parents are there. My dad is there to give me strength. My friends are there. My friend come mentor is there. So when you have your support system, that is very important. It's just not being a woman that I need that. Everybody, irrespective of gender, every one of us should be having a sort of a support mechanism in our life, that when we falter, They are there to guide you back on the track. It's very important. Nobody can do it alone. There's nothing in this world that anyone can do on their own. That's that's one of the thoughts. Very young, I used to think that, okay, I can do everything. I don't need anybody's help. But we are very much dependent on each other in many ways. So I think there is no harm in reaching out for help, and it doesn't show you weak. It is very important. It takes a lot amount of courage to ask for help, and there is nothing bad about it. I mean, there are times when um, um, I felt very nervous. There are times I felt jealous. These are when I express these emotions to my mentor. She said one thing. She said they are the emotions that each one of us feel. If you don't feel those emotions, there's something wrong with you. But yes, how do you deal with those emotions is the most important part. How we deal with emotions, with negative emotions, is what separates good people or best athletes from average athletes, is that they don't allow the negative emotions to be retained in their mind for a long time. They face it, they allow it, and then they move on. But many athletes, they revel in it. They take days to be in that, and the thoughts keep occurring to them time and again. So they are in that moment for a longer time than the best athletes. Best athletes feel it, understand the emotions, they don't feed it, but they move on to the next process. So yeah, I mean, it's just that, one needs to understand what works for them and try and uh, consistently apply it. So then you probably will understand yourself a lot better. You will be in a better position to deal with a lot many issues.
Absolutely. So, Mithali ji, you're clearly an inspiration for the billion Indians that we have and millions others all across the world. I'm sure you also have inspirations in your life, and those could have changed over time as well, while you were growing up and now that you're in a professional life. So who are you inspired by, and more importantly, why?
Well, I am not inspired by any one person in particular. Over the period of time, I've come across a lot many people that I have been inspired with. As young kids, as a young girl, the first person that you look up to is your mother. For everybody, for a young children, they always, because they are around their parents are their first inspiration. But when you progress, when you go out in the world, you meet a lot many people. There's a friend of mine, her sister. She is handicapped. She had an accident when she was young, and she below her waist she has a lot of issues, but she didn't allow that to be her weakness. She lives alone in Delhi, and she worked hard for 2 years. She written her exam for IPS, and she's come
Wow.
through. And even then she had to really fight for her place. So she's an inspiration for me when I look at her. Then the same amount I look at a lot many coaches who take time, because time is very important. When you invest time in others to groom young children, that is hard work. But I see them, I find that as inspiration. So I just have to look around me to find inspiration when I need it. There is no one person as such. Even a common man can be an inspiration, because many times when I'm traveling in the car and I look around, there are so many people who travel in the bus every day for work. And it's very tough travel, and yet they do for probably maybe for living, but still that's an inspiration, because you are constantly doing it for a purpose in your life.
That's great. So find inspiration not just from a few, but from all those who can actually help you find purpose in your life. That is fantastic. And the examples that you gave are not necessarily more celebrities, but these are common people. These are people who have fought against all odds. So this is fantastic. We are running out of time. There is Dr. Shweta also on the panel, and maybe Dr. Shweta, you would like to ask Mithali ji a question before we sort of close. Dr. Shweta? Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. I am unable to start my video, but that's okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. So that's so nice and wonderful to hear you, Ms. Mithali ji. It's so inspiring to actually hear the words from you, and it makes many youngsters much more to understand that your life is not much different from them, and you have achieved so much with the given odds, and it gives them an inspiration too to try their luck. So I have a question for you, saying that you lead a team, and there must be many things that you need to actually handle yourself, handle your positivity, at the same time handle the positivity of the other 10 in your team. How do you do that?
I think it's a difficult role to play, because all players come from very different parts of a country with different cultures, different upbringings, different financial stature in their homes. Some are good, some are not very good. The entire family depends on them. So everybody come with their own baggages. So it's as a captain, it's important to understand each and every player, not in terms of the ability as a player, but as people, as person, because I believe what you are as a person is what reflects on the ground, because that's the personality you carry on the field. And sometimes it's very hard, but I can the best way that I deal with every player is to show a lot of compassion, because the first thing we do is sometimes we just give them the role and they have to sort of play it without understanding what sort of stress level or what is the issues that each one of them are facing in their personal lives, and that can be working in their mind. So I do interact with a lot many girls, try and have conversations with them and understand if they are in a good space, and if they are not, if I'm able to help them in any capacity as a leader, and give them that support, that emotional support, which everybody needs at some point. Yes, it's a professional setup, where there is so much of competition. People feel that you should not be emotionally showing your vulnerability, because that can play a huge role in front of your competitors. But because we play for one team, it's important that we are on the same level, and make them feel that the entire team is like a family, because family as an institution in our country plays a huge role. They are the support system, they are the institution which sort of gives you that confidence, that backing. So when you give them that sort of an environment in the team, then the players will naturally come out, explain or share their concerns, and that in return can help me to solve it and again get them to be the best that they can. Because at the end of the day, you are an athlete and you are required to perform on the field. But what is required for you to perform in the field is something we try and figure out of the field. Various factors, but if you can address it, I think I do that, because if I'm compassionate to all my fellow teammates, I think they will also learn to give space to the other players. So that way you're creating a very healthy environment where each one are able to share their joys, their concerns like family members.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your superb answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shweta. And Mithali ji, the idea of today's session for us was to extract life lessons. What you've given us is really guru mantras for leading our lives, for high performance, for leading satisfactory lives as well. Today is Teachers' Day, so I can only thank you for this lesson to each one of us. And really, like you rightly said right at the beginning, the pandemic has showed us how important mental health is for every individual. The way sport has embraced the idea of mental conditioning as part of team building, of performance, etc. I really wish that many other sectors, including corporates, also think that when an employee is not feeling well in the mind, it is as good as is not feeling well in the body. And that should be considered, as Dr. Shweta always says, in a more sympathetic way. So thank you so much again, Mithali ji. All the best for the Australia series. I know you will come back victorious. Many runs to you. Wish you all the success there, and and success for many more years to come. You've got Padma Shri as a representation from our side by the government. I hope the next time I get to host you, I would introduce you as Bharat Ratna Mithali ji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's very nice of all of you to sort of, have this NGOs where you're doing a good job. And it is important, like, as I said, in a lot more important in today's time to reach out to people, to show that, each one of us are there for any sort of help that anybody needs. So in that sense, I think it's very, very vital to have such sessions where, you are sort of emotionally giving a strong setup for people to reach out and help themselves. And in a way, you're also helping our society.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mithali
you.
ji. Thank you for accepting our request and joining us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay. So now we have journalists and different kinds of people in our participants today. We will take a couple of questions. If anyone has a couple of questions to Dr. Shweta, our expert, you can put forward. If not, we will go to the next item, which is a very different one. People may think why, but we don't want, because this is a term what we use. Suicide is a bit of a mental health and all serious terms. We want to have something bit different also, because the positivity comes from a different thing. So we have a next small shairi event where poetry, we have a very good person joining in to give his thing. So before going that, any couple of questions to Dr. Shweta. Dr. Shweta, if you can see, are you able to see on your Q&A panel, or should I help you?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, I think, yeah.
Ma'am, actually, Viraj here.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. I actually wanted to, I think there's someone else who's asking a question.
Yeah, please, you can.
No, let Mayuri Bansal ask the question first. I'll ask later.
They can't speak. Whom do you want to ask?
Mayuri Bansal. She's texted that she wants to ask the question.
Okay, yeah, Mayuri, you can speak now. I allowed you to. You can unmute and you can talk.
Yeah. Hi. Hi everyone. My name is Mayuri, and it was a very wonderful session listening to Ms. Mithali Raj and everybody talking about mental health. Even Dr. Shweta had a wonderful ideas how to cope up with mental stress and all. My question is pertaining to it's actually like some couple of examples have come across me where I've seen that sometimes people don't get nurturing environment as kids. So when they grow up as adults, so there's just some voidness and there's this blankness they feel in life. And it's only once they become adults they know, oh, this is missed out in life. So nurturing environment, supportive parents. Sometimes parents have this emotional. They can't they express emotions in a very strong way. So for a child, it's very difficult to understand. And then he's an adult or she's an adult, she understands, oh, this is the thing. So what is your suggestions to such kids or adults? How do they cope up with such a voidness in life?
Exactly. That's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. So here, yeah, it's very unfortunate that many kids undergo such kind of harsh parenting, what we actually call as strict parenting, or authoritative parenting. So this is where we actually want to improve the awareness of, giving awareness towards mental health and also awareness towards positivity in life. So here, when they grow as adults, as you asked, that there will be a void and they have missed out so much. But what I would like them to see is whatever is missed out is missed out. Yes, definitely that won't be coming back, nor I don't think so that they can go back in the timeline and correct it. But probably they can change their attitudes, or they can change their views about the life towards them emoting several positive emotions to the people around us, or taking the emotions, positive emotions from people around them. Because as an adult, I would say probably 20 years or so, people generally get to understand what they have lost and what they have gained, but they have 80 years ahead of them. So what I would always ask people, what I would always suggest people is not only from our parents, not only from our friends, we should be inspired, we should take positive life lessons from people around us, whomever come into our lives. So that is one way to accept life as it is. Obviously, life will not be the same for everyone. And I would always say that not all sectors in our life, like family, education, or opportunities, and several other bubbles, several other segments in our life, something or the other is going to be incomplete. So we need to make it complete with whatever is given to us. So are we utilizing all those opportunities which are bestowed to us, or are we just staying with what is not given to us and then brooding over it? That is what Miss Mithali has actually very well explained, saying that we need to inspire, we need to get inspired from people around us. That is one. The second thing is, she said a very important thing, that did I do my best? She did not say that did I do the best that other people did, or did I do my best what society expected of me? Did I do my best? So that's what I always say, that where you are different, where you you should, like, where you different individual improved your self skills, your life skills comparative to the previous years. So each and every event in our life is going to teach us something. And probably what I would see is children who haven't received a warm, compassionate environment during their early tender childhood years, there are two ways that they might go into. They can also adapt such kind of an authoritative parenting towards their kids, or they can become more empathetic and give their kids such a life that they have missed. So which way are you going to go depends upon your personality, your environment, the people you meet, and also the acknowledgement that you do from the people you meet. We meet all kinds of people, but we acknowledge only few. So that makes a lot of difference. Are we acknowledging everything? Are we looking at every small detail in our life and trying to understand what life is or how things are going to change? So this is how we need to appraise ourselves at the end of the day, whatever, in every sense. So and we as One Life is taking their initiative to improve people's life. What I would also suggest is we need to get into schooling systems. That's where children are found to be. And we need to talk to people, teachers and principals, improve emotional intelligence over there. As of now, India lacks there, where we do not have emotional intelligence schools. where if suppose child is in a bad mood or child is worried about something that is happening in their life, or is being deprived or denied of their wishes, obviously child will not be in a safe space, in a space to improve her or his or her skills in the school. She won't be able to concentrate, or he or she won't be able to concentrate. There'll be lots of tantrums, there will be broodiness, there will be isolation, or there can be any kind of a negative emotion that they would actually revert to. The teacher or the caretaker who is there in the school have to be emotionally intelligent to capture that emotion and just ask just a few words: what happened? Can I help you in any way? Because as psychologists or as psychiatrists, parents generally uh, feel the fear of getting the child towards a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because this is ridden with stigma and they do not know what to go for. Is such a small, everybody faces such kind of small problems, so we tend to ignore these kind of issues. But yes, as you rightly said, these are the small issues that actually shape up one's life. So we need to make our schools more emotionally intelligent, and teacher is the main bridge between a student and a parent, because most of the time the student lives in the school, interacts with the teacher. So I feel that is where the answer is.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think it brings a lot of clarity of how to cope up with life once you've missed such a childhood. So I think it helps us to also communicate to our callers in case, or anybody in our life also is facing a similar situation. And as I rightly mentioned, it's better to be tackled in the school itself, because that's where the shaping will be better when you grow up. So thank you so much for taking my question, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta. To add to your suggestion, we have launched a student helpline yesterday, and it's 7893070049. It is with the inspiration we got from you and Dr. Sushil Bode last year, that we should focus on this youth. Several calls come to us every day, and youth would talk to us, but there need to be a bridge between schools and parents, where we help them face the issues in a non-judgmental manner. So we have launched this helpline to be a bridge between schools, parents, and students. Students call this exclusive number, and we have counselors who are being trained exclusively to help them with emotional, empathy. Understand, give them some help in terms of to deal with their emotions, and also trust, have a trusting relationship with their parents, and reach out to support systems like Ms. Mithali has told us. And added to this, we are through this helpline, we are welcoming all the schools to approach us, and we would help them have a virtual counseling cell. We would be giving a dedicated counselor to that school, or train the teachers there who would be a counselor. So almost 1 in 5, 8 children have a counselor present in a school. So we have so many children who don't have counselor, and each counselor can be created in each school through our virtual counseling cell, where school management can partner with us and the parents and the students to resolve the current issues the children are facing. Thank you so much for bringing this up.
Correct. I have one more question asking me that how to maintain confidentiality if someone has a suicidal thought, whether should we connect with the family or not. I would say when it comes to suicidality or homicidality, we should not be maintaining any confidentiality. We should apologize to the person and say that this is something that I need to talk with your family, because even law does not want us to maintain confidentiality over here, because this is somewhere you need to act upon. You need to take help of people around you, around them, to break the event or to stop the event. So I would say that we would inform the person who has expressed the suicidal thoughts, and definitely we would ask them, tell me one trusted person in your life whom I can talk to. So if he or she has one trusted person whom he wants us to talk to, we should embark that chance upon to call them and tell them about this, because that becomes very important, because you can't go there and sit with the patient or sit with the person who has actually called you. You should need the help of the people around you. So definitely you shouldn't maintain confidentiality over here.
Sure. One more question coming from a journalist. CP Ja, can you raise your hand? I'm not able to find you in the attendees list to unmute you.
Meanwhile, we could take Viraj's question. Viraj was asking a question.
Ma'am, I'll sum up a couple of questions being asked by Ayush asked that, I mean, how can one avoid negativity around themselves? And Preeti also asked that how to differentiate between positivity and toxic positivity. So I think you could sum these two questions up.
So what exactly is toxic positivity over here? Can I have some more insight into it?
Can the participant raise your hand?
Preeti Patil.
Yeah, Preeti, you can talk.
Toxic positivity could be fanaticism, just possibly creating positivity for a negative outcome.
Yeah, Preeti, you can speak.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for letting me speak. According to what I meant by toxic positivity are, like you had already mentioned, that everybody experiences all sorts of emotions. The point here is to deal with, understand where you're coming from and then try to deal with them. So that is where positivity comes in, where you cannot completely let yourself drown. But if anybody here has been I am a student, I'm 20 years old. So people of my age are very active on Instagram, on any sort of social media. And especially since COVID started, we have attended a few webinars like this. And, we have, there have been places where we were allowed to interact with people. And one thing that I've noticed everywhere is that this bluntly pushing people to just stay positive no matter what. No matter what you are going through, no matter what the situation is. Like, for example, the pandemic was a huge change in everybody's life, and we were the lucky people who actually had every sort of health wise, and we didn't have to worry about a lot of things. Our parents provided for us. We had good opportunities to still develop, and still it was a lot of problem for us. So toxic positivity basically is something like people not understanding where others are coming from and just pushing on the positivity without understanding that you cannot completely stay positive. Nobody can stay completely positive or negative. And at one point, even for us, the lines are blurred as to what positivity, that is healthy positivity, is, and what this kind of positivity is that does not lead us to any good place. Thank you.
Right. That's very well said. As such, whatever the kind of sessions that you undergo, the positive psychology, what we actually call it as, that is going to stay with you probably for a couple of days. And after that, your self is going to again resurface again. So the same kind of cognitions, the same kind of events in your life are going to come back again to stir the same kind of emotions. So if we look at a person, a personality, we are born with certain traits. So there are several kinds of personalities, type A, type B, and type C. So I don't think so your personality is going to change with whatever amount of positivity or negativity that you're going to be, severed with. Probably the change will be 10 to 20%. but the core beliefs, the core systems have to be changed by yourself, not by anybody else, because this should be a tailored method. What we give in a bulk, like to a mass people, is something which can be used by anyone. But to to maintain you positive for a longer time, that should be a tailored treatment, a tailored way of dealing with it, which is suitable to your way of understanding, suitable to your personality, suitable to your environmental exposure and risk factors. So whatever is given to you will not fit the same with everyone else. So being positive, see, even if you be negative for a brief period of time, it doesn't harm you. Definitely, it doesn't harm you. But as I always stress upon, it is the process that is important rather than the outcome. So deal with all kinds of emotions. You should feel every kind of an emotion, but the only problem is the emotion should be fleeting. You cannot remain sad forever. You cannot remain happy forever or angry forever. That is where psychiatrist is going to step in, and that is where you might require treatment if you are sad for 2 weeks or longer. We call it as depression. If you are angry for or irritable for 2 weeks or longer, it could be bipolar disorder. So emotions are going to change, and they are very dynamic. We react to several kind of environmental stimuli. So what I would say is toxic positivity, as you have told, that we cannot remain positive forever, and we shouldn't also, because we would be living in a kind of a artificial bubble, and that's not true. So what I would say is there are lots of sessions, lots of people who come up with positive psychology, and people who share their experiences. Take in which suits you, try it. If you don't find it useful, change your method or adaptability. But there's nobody is forcing you or anybody to remain positive forever. We need to learn how to treat ourselves. We need to learn how to tame our minds. So that is the most important thing.
Very well said. And I think this was echoed by Mithali ji as well, Dr. Shweta, where she said process more important than outcome.
Exactly.
And some of the things that she does is fascinating. I never thought they put so much energy into mental conditioning.
One last question, please. Anyone can raise hand. Yeah, Pranavi, you can put forward your question.
Good morning. Thank you, OneLife, for organizing this, first of all, and thank you, Shweta ma'am and Sushil sir. I'm doing my post-graduation in psychology. So during a class, we were discussing how the pandemic has affected all of us. And we've in the past 2 years, we've seen loss of life in a personal level that we've never seen or experienced throughout our generation, I would say. So in that case, we were talking about how conversations should be different. As mental health professionals, I am working as a pro bono work. I'm working as a counselor, but other than just professionally, as mental health people, what are the norms that we should revolutionize so that it will be good for the community and not just as a personal social worker? When pandemic has taught us a lot, like somebody has just said, so much of anxiety, so much of toxic positivity, or everyone using their own labels, etc. But other than that, the fact remains that we need some kind of intervention, right? So as mental health professionals that are going to be working in this field, what should we do for the community? How can we normalize these conversations in our daily homes, in our daily lives? Are there any communication norms that we have to change in order to be able to converse with people without this stigma that it's not okay, or without feeling it as a taboo? Because when I lost somebody this year due to the pandemic, it was difficult when people said it's going to be okay, because it's not going to be okay. So how do you, what should we communicate differently to people from starting now on, since we have realized the importance of mental health so much? Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you have lost someone and you have my empathies. I hope you have all the courage to deal with the loss. And definitely it cannot be, it cannot be replaced, or the person who have lost cannot be replaced, but you definitely have their memories with which you can, so I'm really sorry about that. But coming to the question, saying how do we normalize conversations and how do we norm the conversations? The first thing that I would always say is listen. Listening is something very important. When someone comes up with any kind of a silly problem also, probably the problem can be silly to you, but because you have the ability to cope with such kind of issues, but the other person, whoever is actually facing the problem, might not have the coping skills. So the first thing would be listening. And second, the confusion that they have in their mind, and while they are talking about it, there is a kind of streaming that happens. So the tangled thoughts that are there, when we are expressing that through language or through writing process, there's something called the thoughts will become distangled. And slowly there is going to be a concept which is going to evolve around the thoughts. So I would always suggest people to talk about their confusions, because when they talk, the entanglement, whatever is there, slowly will dissolve and become a straight line where people can understand. And second, they can always write somewhere if they do not want to express about certain ideas. Third thing, I have seen a lot of rise in anxieties, especially COVID related anxieties, like will I develop COVID infections, or will my loved ones will develop COVID infections, or unnecessary apprehensions towards what will happen if I develop a COVID infection. Like, will I get a cylinder? Will I get an oxygen? Will I get a bed? So what happens to my life? Where am I going to die? So these kind of apprehensions have started with related to COVID. And the second thing is isolation. Humans are social animals. We are all social animals. But because of the social isolation and lack of interpersonal interactions is where most of the anxieties have cropped up and became even more difficult to manage. The third most important thing is COVID itself. Like the virus itself has because of its affinity towards the brain, we've been seeing multiple people coming to our clinics right now saying that we have depression, sleep, anxiety issues, and lots of psychosis which are actually cropping up with no past history or family history of psychosis. Also, we get to see hallucinations and delusions in people who are affected with COVID 2-3 months ago. So this is a kind of a new crisis that is actually coming. So what we need to equip ourselves is that first we need to identify whether the other person, whoever is failing, is a kind of a social issue, or does it fit any kind of psychiatric diagnosis, in the sense, is he or she going through major depressive disorder or anxiety disorder, where, as I told, if an emotion, if it persists for a longer than 2 weeks, then something it should be handled carefully by a professional. So if the emotion is fleeting, like it's coming and going, and your day-to-day work is not being affected by it, then probably one-to-one talk, a supportive talk, a shoulder will definitely help the person. So we need to understand where the problem lies and what is the severity and whom to approach. So many people definitely have this kind of stigma towards mental illness. I don't want to go to a psychiatrist. I don't want to go to a psychologist. I want to take help from people around me. But as such, I would encourage people to think that brain is your vital organ, and it is just like your heart, just like your liver. So how would you treat a heart attack? You would definitely do not want to stay at home and use home remedies to treat heart attack. So I would want people to obviously think that brain is definitely a part of your body and it sometimes requires attention too. So if we normalize mental illness, saying that it is just like any other illnesses, what we see, like diabetes, hypertension, obviously the stigma is going to come down.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta, for answering all the questions. Everyone, I think we have to move to the next segment. So if still we are ready to answer any of your questions, I have kept 3 email IDs in the group chat. Anyone, normal or journalist or media people, anyone can put forward your questions. We will answer all your questions, but as time is moving on, we have to move to the next segment. Thank you, Dr. Shweta. Next would be, we will be sharing our annual report, like say what we have done since last 1 year. Yeah, Lakshmi, you can continue.
Thank you, Suresh. Thanks for this. We have received 11,500 plus calls in the last 1 year. Those are the calls for help, out of which the credit goes to our entire volunteer team, where they have put, everything they had on to saving 190 lives. These have been recorded with us, where we got feedback that they really got the help when they were contemplating suicide. 190 lives is a great achievement. Kudos to our volunteers who have gone all the way out to save these lives. It means the world to those people and their families, right? Total counseling hours, all these are pro bono, 1,450 plus hours have been given by our volunteers to reach out to people who are in crisis. And we have received 30 to 40 calls on an average every day. And to increase our set of volunteer who would handle 24/7, we have recruited 40 new volunteers with 6 volunteer training sessions. Thanks to our training team and the admin team which had made this possible. Welcome to the new volunteers who have integrated quite quickly on board. Out of these 11,500 calls we have received, the major issues that we have confronted related to marital and family issues, followed by both in health and relationship 15% each, whereas academic and finance have reached 9% each. With this view, when we did this analysis, we have decided to take an initiative in these major areas where crisis support is needed in the society. And we were wondering how the children who've been at home, the students, how they were being affected by these, which they are witnessing, the marital family disputes, the relationship issues that are affecting them, and the academic challenges. We have started a dedicated helpline for students and schools. The number I have said 78930-70049, which was launched in Hyderabad yesterday by DIG of Police. And this we are going forward, helping out schools setting up their counseling cells. This is the new initiative we are taking for the next financial year. Majorly, the major achievement for One Life has been MOU with Women's Safety Wing of Telangana Police to call a virtual call, start a virtual call center, wherein we train, integrate volunteers from youth, per se the students across Telangana, and partner them into counseling setup, online counseling setup for crimes against women that come through Dial 100. So this is a recognition of our expertise in volunteer handling and volunteer recruitment, our technical expertise, and our ability to be transparent in our operations and our authenticity in dealing with these sensitive issues. This is our annual report. Thanks to our mentors, Sushil Borde and Shweta, who have given us this direction. Thanks to our founder, Suresh, who has been working 24/7 for making this happen, and Viraj, who has been our inspiration to take more challenges. And to tell you, the baseline is our volunteers who have given us this strength to hold on during the pandemic times and expand in terms of our initiatives. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am, for the update, what we have done. So yet still many plans to come. So next plan for next year is we would like to launch an application where we see a lot of people not able to speak even during some times like midnight or anything. So we would like to start a chat way of support, chat way of, I mean, like just like WhatsApp, they can chat with the counselor. So that would be the next target for us. And hopefully before next year of this day, we will be launching it and we should be starting that. Okay. So
Suresh,
yes.
Lakshmi, Viraj, fantastic, great achievement. Well done. Really, really proud of all of you. I myself am inspired by the work that you're doing. I don't know why you call me mentor. I should be thanking you. I learn a lot from you, especially in terms of social responsibility and the way you go about it. 190 high-risk calls, 190 lives saved. Dr. Shweta, this is no mean feat. You know, even one life is so important, and it's not just one person. You are actually saying that you've actually impacted the whole family, whatever the family of 4 parents, friends, all of that. You know, I will multiply this by a factor of 10. That has been your impact, and well done. This is extremely inspiring.
Yes,
thank you. Thank you.
Truly, truly, very, very inspiring. And I'm very happy to see female callers, the percentage increasing. That's very nice. And this reminds me that, you know, India ranks the second highest in suicides amongst females in the world. And that is what our next target should be, that we need to bring out the awareness about mental illnesses and suicide and coping skills. Definitely, we need to improve the life skills for women out there. And I think so it's a timely response with the MOU with the police academy, and that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With Suresh, with you there and IT, I think data is going to be very important as you move along.
Yes.
And I would say things like others has to be qualified. You should never have others. I think you should always have why, what was the case, so that going forward, you'll have thousands and millions of such cases, and you'll be able to then start improving your system, improving your volunteers, focusing on the main issues, right? So 14 others has to be broken down. There should be no others. It has to be classified as something or the other.
Sure, definitely. Okay, so a different thing coming up next would be Ketan. This just to lighter up the moment, it not to be on a serious note all the time. Okay, so we have his Shairi coming up. So Ketan, over to you.
Hello, hi. मेरी आवाज आ रही है आप सबको?
Yes, we are able to.
Okay, hello all. पहले तो सुरेश कला जी, विराज भाई और विशाखा जी का और लक्ष्मी जी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मुझे यहाँ सुनाने का मौका दिया, और पद्मश्री मिथाली राज, डॉक्टर सुशील बोर्डे और डॉक्टर श्वेता मैम, इनको सुनने का मौका मिला। मेरी खुशनसीबी है आज टीचर्स डे के मौके पर, तो थैंक यू सो मच। आप लोगों का बहुत नेक काम है, मैं बहुत ज्यादा खुश हूँ कि आप लोगों से बात कर सका मैं। आप लोगों का काम जैसे मतलब जितने सारे लोग हैं उनके उतने सारे रोग, रोग तो सबके जान गया मगर जान ना पाया लोग। किसी ने खोले दरवाजे दिल के, किसी ने लगाई चिटकनियां, किसी ने खोले दरवाजे दिल के, किसी ने लगाई चिटकनियां, खूबसूरत राज है सबके और मन घड़न कहानियां। ऐसे आप लोगों के साथ, आप बहुत सारे लोगों से बात करते होगे या बहुत लोगों से मिले होगे, तो यही शायद आपका एक्सपीरियंस होगा। मुझे ऐसा लगता है ना कि डिप्रेशन एक ऐसी चीज है जो लोगों को सुसाइड करने के लिए ज्यादा मजबूर कर देती है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। और यंगस्टर्स में ये उसका ये प्रमाण बहुत ज्यादा है। तो मैंने भी कुछ ऐसे लिखा था, थोड़ा मेटाफर लेके मछली और इसका, कि मेरी मछली जो है अ, वो भी डिप्रेशन में आ गई थी, ठीक है। तो कुछ यूं सा था कि एक मछली को समंदर में घुटन होने लगी। एक मछली को समंदर में घुटन होने लगी, गलतफहमी की शिकार थी, तालाब में रहने आ गई। एक मछली को समंदर में घुटन होने लगी, गलतफहमी की शिकार थी, तालाब में रहने आ गई। समंदर का दिल दरिया था, दुनिया बड़ी थी। समंदर का दिल दरिया था, दुनिया बड़ी थी। यहाँ पर बारिश का पानी था, बस अकाल की कमी थी। वहां लहरों से जूझने में मजा था, पानी को चीरते तैरने में खुशी थी। समंदर में वहां लहरों से जूझने में मजा था, पानी को चीरते तैरने में खुशी थी। यहाँ पर पानी ठहरा ठहरा, हलचल के लिए भी एक पत्थर की जरूरी थी। समंदर अपनी ही मौज में मस्त था, समंदर अपनी ही मौज में मस्त था, उसमें गहराई तक किसी ना किसी की बस्ती थी। तालाब प्यासों की प्यास बुझाने में व्यस्त था, दुनिया से बेखबर था इस हद तक कि कश्तियां भी कागज की थी। घुटन की वजह मछली को बाद समझ में आ गई, साबित करने के चक्कर में खुद की शख्सियत जो भूल गई, लौट गई जहां से वो आई थी। समंदर की मछली थी, तालाब पर राज कर सकती थी। समंदर की मछली थी, तालाब पर राज कर सकती थी। यहाँ पर सब मीठा मीठा था, वो नमक की कीमत जान गई। एक मछली को समंदर में घुटन होने लगी थी, पर अब वही घुटन उसकी ताकत बन गई। तो कुछ ऐसा लिखा था, थोड़ा मोटिवेशनल। और मैंने एक यहाँ पुणे में एक एरिया है, रेड लाइट एरिया, तो मैं कुछ दिनों के लिए वहाँ थोड़ा रिसर्च किया और मैंने उनके लाइफस्टाइल को देखते हुए मैंने भी कुछ लिखा था उस पे, तो वो भी कुछ सुनाना चाहूंगा बिल्कुल। मुट्ठी भर गम मांग लेना जिंदगी से, मुट्ठी भर गम मांग लेना जिंदगी से, खुशियां क्या होती है पूछना तवाए फोन से। मुट्ठी भर गम मांग लेना जिंदगी से, खुशियां क्या होती है पूछना तवाए फोन से। चाहत और जिस्म का वहां मेल नहीं होता, पैदाइश हवस की होती है अक्सर, रिश्ता एहसासों का नहीं होता। चुटकी भर सिंदूर बोल दिया आसानी से, चुटकी भर सिंदूर बोल दिया आसानी से, महज मांग भरने से कोई शौहर नहीं बनता। चिट्ठी भर लफ्ज मांग लेना किसी से, चिट्ठी भर लफ्ज मांग लेना किसी से, खामोशियां क्या होती है पूछना अल्फाजों से। आंखों तक आते आते निगल जाता है, हर एक आंसू का अपना अफसाना होता है। छलके गर गालों तक पहुंच दिया बेरुखी से, बिखेर दी मुस्कान मुंह फेर के दुनिया से। पैंतरा ये सदियों से चला आ रहा है, होता है चलता है, जिंदगी है जीना है। अकॉर्डिंग टू मी सुसाइड करना या फिर खुद की जान लेना एक कतई सॉल्यूशन नहीं है किसी भी बात का। और जैसे मैंने कहा कि डिप्रेशन एक आपको खुद की जान लेने के लिए मजबूर कर देता है, उसी तरह अपने कुछ फैमिली इश्यूज या फिर कुछ अपनों के मनमुटाव झगड़े, ये भी आपको निराशा की ओर लेके जाते हैं। तो मुझे ऐसे लगता है यादें इंसान की जड़ होती है। कुछ ऐसे लिखा था, यादें इंसान की जड़ होती है और रिश्ते नाते टहनियां। हम मेमोरीज पे ही जीते हैं, एक्चुअली मेरा यही मानना है। यादें इंसान की जड़ होती है और रिश्ते नाते टहनियां, लोग मिलते खिलते बिखरते रहते हैं पत्तों की तरह और सपने मानो चिड़िया। मैंने पेड़ को इंसान के साथ मेटाफरिक लिया है, बिल्कुल आपको पसंद आएगा। कि यादें इंसान की जड़ होती है और रिश्ते नाते टहनियां, लोग मिलते खिलते बिखरते रहते हैं पत्तों की तरह और सपने मानो चिड़िया। मौसम रूखा हो, सूखा हो, जाड़े या बरसात का, मौसम रूखा हो, सूखा हो, जाड़े या बरसात का, हाथ से है थोड़े गम भी नमक की तरह और मीठे में खुशियां। पेड़ बड़ा हो या बूढ़ा हो, पेड़ बड़ा हो या बूढ़ा हो, रसीले फल लगे होंगे या रंगीन फूल खिले होंगे, कहीं घमंड कांटों की तरह। पेड़ बड़ा हो या बूढ़ा हो, रसीले फल लगे होंगे या रंगीन फूल खिले होंगे, कहीं घमंड कांटों की तरह और कुछ पर बस तजुर्बे की झुर्रियां। कुछ तूफान ऐसे आते हैं जिंदगी में कभी, कुछ तूफान ऐसे आते हैं जिंदगी में कभी, पेड़ गिर टूट जाते हैं किसी तिनके की तरह। कितना भी बड़ा या मजबूत पेड़ क्यों ना हो, उसकी अगर जड़ें खराब हो गई तो वो गिर जाता है। कुछ तूफान ऐसे आते हैं जिंदगी में कभी, पेड़ गिर टूट जाते हैं किसी तिनके की तरह और यादों की जड़ मजबूत हो तो महफूज रहती है झाड़ियां। ये कुछ थॉट वाली शायरी मैंने लिखी थी। अब मैं कुछ, बारिश का मौसम है, थोड़ा हल्का फुल्का कुछ सुना के एंड कर देता हूँ, ज्यादा बोर नहीं करूंगा। बारिश का मौसम है, मैंने कुछ लिखा था बारिश पे कि ये बारिश भी हमेशा मौके छीनती है, ये बारिश भी हमेशा मौके छीनती है। एक दिन मैं बारिश से रूठ कर घर पर रहा और वो बारिश में भीगती ऑफिस चली गई। एक कपल है, आईटी सेक्टर काइंड, 10-15वें माले पे रहता है, बड़ी सी बालकनी है। लड़की को शायद बारिश पसंद है, लड़के को नहीं पसंद है। तो एक दिन मैं बारिश से रूठ कर घर पर रहा और वो बारिश में भीगती ऑफिस चली गई। दिन भर उसकी याद में, जुदाई के आग में, मैं अपनी बालकनी से उस नामुराद बारिश की बेहया बूंदों को मुट्ठी में लेकर कुचलता रहा और खुद को तसल्ली देता रहा कि दिन ढलने तक ये बारिश भी टल जाएगी। रात जैसे चढ़ेगी, मिलन की बेला आएगी। जैसे तैसे शाम हुई, वो घर आई, दांत कड़कड़ा रहे थे, होंठ थरथरा रहे थे। मैंने देखा थोड़ी सी बारिश वो अपने साथ घर में भी लाई थी, अपने बदन से लपेट कर। मैं उसे तौलिया दे सकता था लेकिन मैंने नहीं दिया। इतना भी नहीं कर सकते तुम, का ताना मार कर वो फिर नाराज हो गई। मैं तौलिया दे सकता था लेकिन मैंने नहीं दिया। मैंने तौलिया नहीं दिया क्योंकि मैं नहीं चाहता था कि वो अपने बाल सुखाए। न जाने कितने अब्र कैद है उनमें, वो उन्हें आजाद करे। फिर भी उस नामुराद ने अपने गीले कपड़े बदले, बाल संवारे, लेकिन ठंड उतार न पाई और सिमटने लगी खुद ब खुद में। तो मैंने बड़े अदब से पूछा, चादर लपेटूं या बाहें? और वो गुस्से से भरी आंखों में, सूरज मध्यम हुआ, आफताब भी चांद हुआ, होठों पे वो गजब मुस्कान और इजाजत। ये बारिश भी न जाने कैसे कैसे मौके देती है। यूं था। आई होप आप लोगों को पसंद आया हो।
थैंक यू सो मच केतन। आई मीन थैंक यू या शुक्रिया आपका बहुत ज्यादा। हम आप ही के लफ्जों में कुछ आपको ही थैंक यू बोलना चाहते हैं। मैं तुम्हारी कुछ मिसाल तो दे दूं, मैं तुम्हारी कुछ मिसाल तो दे दूं, मगर जाना जुल्म ये है कि बेमिसाल हो तुम। थैंक यू सो मच।
वाह वाह, बहुत बढ़िया।
Absolutely, Vishaka. Ketan, you have the gift of God to articulate feelings. Not many can do that. एक आपसे एक सवाल है केतन,
बिल्कुल।
ये आप जब the process, as I understand, शायरी का जो है वो you have to observe a lot, you have to think a lot. It is not just about collecting dots, but it is connecting dots, right? आप जब ये करते हो तो आप खुद एक इमोशनल जर्नी में जाते हो. Shairi does not come from a very superficial process. You have to immerse yourself. Okay. So ये जब आप continuously करते रहते हो day in, day out, I'm sure these emotions would be getting the better of you also. So how do you deal with sadness, with all the emotions that you see, you observe, and you embrace, so that these words can come out of your mouth?
जैसे आपने कहा बहुत ज्यादा ऑब्जर्व करने की जरूरत होती है. मैं तो हमेशा वही करता हूँ, लोगों को जितना ज्यादा मैं जान सकूं उनकी स्टोरीज. मैं काफी लोगों से ऐसे बात कर लेता हूँ, या फिर जिनसे मैं बात नहीं कर सकता उनके बारे में सोचता हूँ कि उनकी स्टोरी क्या होगी, क्या हो सकती है. उनके जगह पे जाके उनके हिसाब से सोचता हूँ मैं. तो इसकी वजह से मुझे भी बहुत ज्यादा मूड स्विंग्स होते हैं. मैं भी काफी इमोशन से गुजरता हूँ. मैं तो ये मानता हूँ ना, प्लीज डोंट माइंड, कि मैं ये मानता हूँ कि जैसे पीरियड्स होते हैं फीमेल्स को, और वो उसमें काफी सारे मूड स्विंग्स होते हैं, वैसे आर्टिस्ट के हर बार मूड स्विंग्स चलते ही रहते हैं, ऐसे मुझे लगता है. और मैं जितना उनके बारे में सोचूं, जितना ये करूं, उनको कागज पर उतारना चाहूं, उतने अलग. मैंने काफी बार ये भी किया है कि काफी ऐसी भी शायरी लिखी है जो फीमेल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से है, कि वो क्या सोचती होगी, उनको भी क्या लगता होगा. या फिर मैंने कुछ ऐसे लोगों के बारे में भी लिखा है जो यहाँ स्लम एरिया में रहते हैं. तो हर बार जब मैं उनके बारे में लिखता हूँ या ऐसे टॉपिक्स के बारे में लिखता हूँ, तो मेरा बर्ताव भी लगभग वैसा हो जाता है. तो मैं कभी कभी बहुत ज्यादा चिड़चिड़ा हो जाता हूँ, कभी कभी मैं बहुत ज्यादा खुश होता हूँ. तो इससे थोड़ा डील करना सच में मुश्किल बात है, लेकिन ये यही तो है, यही तो मैं हूँ, इसलिए तो कर सकता हूँ, वरना पॉसिबल ही नहीं है.
Sure.
Dr. Shweta is smiling. She's saying, chart your emotions.
That's so wonderful to listen, to hear these words coming from him. And I'm sure the process has made him more empathetic towards everybody in his life. You're able to understand your emotions while, understanding the people of the emotions of others. That's so nice. That's so nice. And I love your concept, how you metaphorize tree with a human life. And that's so true. That's so true with all of us. We fall down, but we rise again. It's so nice.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ketan ji, for waiting so long for us and doing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ketan ji.
Yeah. Last 10 more minutes, we'll wind it up. So we want to recognize our volunteers who have done extremely well job. So just some few awards for them. Out of many volunteers we had, we have a cycle of volunteers coming and going through different things, but we have selected a few to just recognize it. This is only to recognize their effort. It is not everyone. Please take it very positively. It is something not that judging. This is not judging. This is just recognizing it. When you recognize, you have to recognize. I mean, name comes only one, but some names don't come. But please don't take it in a different way. I hope you're making others positive, so you'll also take it positive. I'm sure of that. Yeah, Dr. Shweta, can you please just the name? You can announce the awardees. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to announce the awardees, and I should definitely thank them, because the kind of messages that I get from the volunteers, I should admit, saying that it shows, the message itself shows their empathy towards the caller. And it gives me loads of information about the caller, and the kind of, it's as equivalent to as if I'm talking to the caller. So I know how much efforts that get into place, especially. So I'm very happy and thank you for the opportunity again. And as Suresh ji has told that we would definitely want to acknowledge everybody's effort towards making lives better. But this is a kind of, positive reinforcement for the efforts. So the first award category, our best and punctual volunteer, goes to Miss Pallavi Kurukshetra. And it's my applause. Thank you. Thank you for being there. And the energetic.
Thank you very much, Pallavi.
Yeah. The energetic volunteer of all with high loads of positive emotion goes to S.Has Verma. Thank you. Thank you for giving the energy to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ehsas. Now over to the next slide. Next winner.
And most importantly, what we always require in a day-to-day life is mindfulness. And thank you, Ms. Kanika, for being the mindful volunteer, the joy giver. Yes, thank you so much for that. And the most important virtue of life we all should remember is honesty. We need to be honest. At the same time, we need to be empathetic also. And I think so, Mr. Jagannath is the best person for that. Thank you, Mr. Jagannath. And as I always tell, that listening is the most important skill that anybody who is in this field should develop. And the active listener of the lot goes to Ms. Anu Verma. Thank you. This is a wonderful skill. And I wish next year we should have multiple number of people competing for this kind of an award. And I totally understand that our kind of a job does not end by 5 p.m. in the evening. 9 to 5 p.m. jobs does not fit us. We are saviors and we are going to be active all the day. And most importantly, the midnight saviors, yeah, that is the need of the hour. So these go to Ms. Sushma Medikonda, Medha Gupta, Preetham, Raghavendra, Kameshwari Bala. Thank you all. You are such wonderful people where, I just can't thank you enough for giving your time to the people in need. Thank you all.
I have to put a note for this one because this is really, we are indebted to them in one kind. Because that is a very odd time they work. They work from 12 p.m., 12 in the midnight to morning 6 o'clock. Because of them, we could proudly say we are 24/7, which is really impossible for a free, an NGO like work without any profit, with non-profit organization to work 24/7 without any charge incurring. Really shout out to these guys. Previous to them, it was very hard to find volunteers who work in that time. So we used to pay a person and then we used to hire them to take the calls during the night time. But after they step in, and we do receive a lot of important calls because that is the time when people go through different kinds of thought process, and what each and every call, what they take is a very, very critical call. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Kudos to all the volunteers who work for One Life, and I'm very proud of you all.
And some more awardees are coming. We request Sushil sir to announce them.
Sure. Thank you, Suresh. And like Dr. Shweta says, I think all volunteers are winners here. Extremely inspiring. I know, Suresh, you've just picked a few for the awards, but in my mind, all volunteers are winners. From next year onwards, I would myself like to be promoted from mentor to volunteer, please. Not because I want the award, but because I'm inspired by the work that your volunteers are doing, and I would like to be part of that community as well. So I will strive very hard to be promoted from mentor to volunteer. Anyway, so the first award category that I have, consistency, of course, of effort and contribution is very important. You just can't come in and enjoy the process, get something out of it, and then leave it. So consistency is important, and Miss Uma S is getting the award for being a constant contributor. Well done, Uma ji. Fantastic.
Whenever a gap arises, we reach out to her to fill the gap. I mean, when volunteer is not present or sometimes, right? So she's the first person, she says always yes for that, and she fills the gap in.
So, as much as aptitude is important, attitude is also important in your sector, and the right attitude will always be extremely beneficial to your organization. The next award category is proactive volunteer, and it is called the bestower of energy. So proactiveness, where you don't need to be pushed, you're your own self-starter, and all of that goes to Rajesh Kumar. Well done, Rajesh. So
thank you, Rajesh. Yeah.
Suresh, you feed on his energy, is it?
Yes, especially yesterday, everyone of volunteer could see his energy. He has helped us a lot in doing a offline event, that launching of the other helpline. So he has helped us a lot in that.
Great. So while you have energy, enthusiasm, all of that, you also need a balance where you need others to be calm and bring in a method in the madness. And hence the next award category is calming the storm. And the award goes to Vijaya D. Well done, Vijaya.
Thank you, Vijaya. She has been more than, I think, 1.5 years she is with us, serving us since long time. And we really appreciate her service.
Like I said, consistency is important. So the next award category is for Mrs. Consistent, and it goes to Madhavi.
Yeah, she is a recent a retired employee, and she is the main person we bank on during the morning during the daytime calls. She takes for 4 hours in the daytime, and she is the most bankable person.
Wonderful. Time is of essence in your sector. If you don't do things at the right time, you might not get the right results, and hence punctuality in submitting reports also gets important. So the next award category is for punctuality in submitting reports. Perfectly present goes to Urmila.
Yeah, as you pointed the data thing, we have an application where each volunteer fills in about the call, what they spoke, where as much information they collected during the conversation, they input into the system, and yeah, this is for that, very punctually submitting the report.
What gets managed, what gets measured gets managed, Suresh. So reports are very important, and insightful reports, not just any reports. Great. The next award category is again going the extra mile, doing much more than you're supposed to do, going above and beyond. And the award goes to Sushma KP. Well done, Sushma.
She helped us redesigning the website, initiating social media and all. Of course, Vishaka who is there here as a panelist. She is maintaining our social media. Before they stepped in, actually, she was the one who initiated. I was not concentrating on social media much, but she was the one who took it up. She said, we have to be on social media actively and do it. So after she came in, then we realized the importance of social media.
Yeah. Absolutely. The next award category is for expressive voices, the difference makers. And there are 3 awardees here, winners, Rukmini, Veda, and Umita.
This is for the tone of the language they speak in, like making the caller so comfortable and where they can share their things, right? The expressing the voice. So that is the one which we choose. Yeah.
Excellent. The last 2 categories now, the main ones, I guess. Award category is Mr. Volunteer of the Year. He's called the Mr. Wow Machine. And this award goes to Mr. Anil Chauhan. Why does he get Mr. Volunteer, Suresh? Explain.
This is for all aspects containing like submitting reports, attendance, not having any delays, and everything. The counseling skills. Most of the awardees what we selected is based on the counseling skills, we say. So, so this is considering everything into picture.
Wonderful.
So this is like Mr. Volunteer of the Year.
Great. So then the Mrs. Volunteer of the Year, Miss Wow Machine award goes to Trisha Kapoor.
Yeah, we thought of we could have just segregated into we couldn't resist doing only one volunteer of the year, frankly. So that is where we had to split it up. It's not anything like gender, but we had to split it up. So because we couldn't stop ourselves in doing just one volunteer of the year.
Good. Both Anil and Trisha can be my mentors and teach me how to become good volunteers. So look forward to that. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you for the opportunity for giving away the awards.
Sure. Over to Lakshmi. Yeah, final thanking everyone. And one more thing to announce. Yeah, Lakshmi can do it. You're on mute. You're on.
Thank you, Suresh. It's a Teachers' Day, and this would be incomplete without, thanking Mrs. Vidya, who has been with us in understanding, the needs of the trainers. And she has designed the curriculum and trained all our 60 volunteers online. Since we started this online training, 2020 January. In fact, we have operated in the pandemic environment, and she has been instrumental in overboarding almost the entire team in the last 1.5 years. And it's a small token of, love and respect for you. This we offer you today as our Dakshina. Please accept it. And thank you so much, ma'am, for the efforts you have put in involving yourself in all aspects of training and mentoring. Thanks to all. And I represent the volunteers, in thanking you once again for all the guidance you have given. Right. Similarly, I would like to thank our recent joinee, Sirisha, our admin, who has done a lot of work in the last 6 months or so, that she has understood the system, learned quickly, and is there 24/7 to help us all operational issues. And she has come in handy in coordinating in all the verticals that we have, be it volunteering or training or the new initiatives we have taken. She has really been an asset. Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank Viraj for the motivation he has given us this year to go ahead with the various initiatives we have taken. We always feel that, Viraj is there. Whatever we can take on, we say, bring it on now. That is the difference you made from last year to this. Needless to say, thanks to both the panelists, Sushil sir and Sweta ma'am, we'll need more and more of your contribution this year, because we are taking up humongous tasks which are actually beyond our capacity, be it financial or logistical. But with your support, with your backing, I'm sure that we'll be, surpassing the expectations, be it the Telangana Police Initiative, be it our student helpline, or in the technical front also. Thanks to our founder Suresh. The way he is in Australia and could speak to you about each volunteer's, speciality itself shows the success for the organization is the way he connects to each and every one of us, uses talent, puts us forward before him all the time. He always says organization comes first, the initiative comes first, each life comes first. And that's how we differentiate it from any other NGO. Yesterday, we had this physical meeting where our Hyderabad volunteers were there. Believe me, all the guests were amazed by the kind of spirit that all the volunteers have. They said that we've seen many NGOs, but this kind of camaraderie you have, the transparency, the authenticity, I think that's a brand that's going to differentiate from any other NGO. Working on minimal financial resources, every of the volunteers have worked pro bono. and all of us have made it for possible, being transparent, and we can say that there is a purpose of life we create. At One Life, we create a purpose of life. We are always focused on it. That's how we go forward. And this will be a critical differentiator for us to be a role model for so many NGOs that would come up in the future. Not only the present ones, but this is how we will model ourselves, where they say that if you have to work, you have to work like One Life. And definitely we are there. And this year we will create wonders. My heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers who have contributed. We are proudly, we announce in all platforms that we are a volunteer-driven organization. You mean it and you do it and you show it in every act of yours, day in and day out. Thank you all so much. This program is dedicated to all our volunteers and you mean a lot to us. Please be there, go forward, take it on, and the coming year. And we would like to grow our family, expand our tribe, and prove that in a world of negativity, positivism is possible, and it is exemplified by entire One Life team. Thank you so much. Thank you one and all for making to this event. Thanks to the media who has joined us. Thanks to the people who have joined, not been part of the organization and come to us and stayed with us. Thank you for your time, and I hope you will be inspired by the values that we uphold and you will take on further, and beautiful life of positivity you will bring about coming days. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I kept again in the chat an email ID. Anyone, any journalist or anyone has anything to ask, you can forward your question, and all details are available on our website as well. Thank you, Sushil sir, and thank you, Dr. Shweta.
Thank you all. Signing off from One Life.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello.